Guys, WWE Fan Talk here, bringing you guys a brand new WWE Unmatched action figure video review. Now today we have this lineup from Ringside Collectibles where you can use discount code TANNER, T-A-N-N-E-R, all caps to save 10% at checkout. This is AEW Unmatched Series 5 featuring 5 very cool action figures. We got Sammy Guevara in his prison outfit. We've got Bryan Danielson, which is really cool, first time in the line. We got Darby Allen in this LJN styled look. We got Kenny Omega in his non-ring attire, just his blazer and his jeans. And then we got, I almost said Ty Dillinger. We got Shawn Spears and we got Red Velvet right here. Very stacked and interesting lineup. Let's get into it right now. We're going to first look at the LJN styled Darby Allen from Unmatched Series 5. I know this figure is supposed to be released with the Dark Order set, but something happened with the sizing and the scale, and they pushed it back to Series 5. But very cool looking Darby Allen. I love the front packaging, and this is actually something that I'm going to keep in package. And the reason why I'm going to keep in package is because look at how great the artwork looks. I just love how they change the look of the LJN styled figures in the set, like the Cody, and they make this light blue look, or sky blue, with the yellow. I just think it looks really cool, and it'd be cool if we could see different colorations like this for packaging. Like, I know the Unrivaled is gold, and the Unmatched is silver, but it'd be cool to get something like more colorful like this. I think that would be interesting. But on the front there, it says Wrestling Superstars with Darby Allen in this animated look. We have the Jazzwares crew right there, looking really cool. This is Darby Allen. There's the side. On the back, it has his little bio. It's like a little poster, free Darby Allen poster inside. You can see that right there if you were wondering. But very cool. This is just one I think that most people should keep on card rather than taking out if you're going to pose it or play with it. But I think it just looks so much better in the packaging, and it serves more value in the package to me. I think it looks a lot cooler. And I don't know, just for retro things, I think retro things should stay in the package, especially for this one right here. I'm going to display it like this. I just think it looks a lot better. But just very cool looking Darby Allen, and one I do recommend. Next up, we have the Sammy Guevara and the prison jumpsuits. I think this was from the Blood and Guts match against MJF, I do believe. I know that through the sets and through the series with Unrivaled and the Unmatched line, we are getting the different factions from this specific fight. It would have been cool if our second Sammy Guevara was in his regular gear. I just think this was a wasted opportunity. I do think this is cool though, but not everybody's going to want a jumpsuit Sammy Guevara. Not everybody's going to be buying the entire faction, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to... I know we have the Jake Hager and the jumpsuit now. I think that's pretty cool. And we have the Sammy Guevara. And I think we're going to probably be getting Chris Jericho. I'm not sure if we did get the Chris Jericho yet. I'm not quite sure. And then probably Santana and Ortiz potentially. But this is a very cool looking Sammy Guevara besides that point. I do like the jumpsuit, and I do feel like it feels better in the hand than the usual Sammy Guevara does. But just overall, very cool looking Sammy. I like the screaming head sculpt, and I do like the Jordans. I'm not sure if these are Jordan 3s or... I'm not quite sure. But very cool, good articulation. We've never gotten this mold before, so it's cool that we're getting it. Very good articulation. My one problem is right here on the diaphragm joint. It's very loose, as you can see. But very cool looking Darby, or not Darby, I keep wanting to call him Darby. Very good Sammy Guevara head sculpt. Very cool. The lighting in here is really odd right now. It's just the time of the day. It's not focusing that well. What is going on? And then we also do get this other Sammy Guevara head sculpt, which is also brand new. Looks pretty nice. But I'm not quite sure. It oddly looks like Sammy Guevara, but I'm just not quite sure how I feel about it. I think the tongue one from his first figure might be better. And then we get the extra pair of hands right here. So there is the Sammy Guevara. Overall, pretty nice, and I do recommend it if you are building that entire faction of the Inner Circle from this specific match. Next up, we have the Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, whatever you want to call him, is my all-time favorite wrestler. If you have been watching this channel for a long time, he is my all-time favorite, but just a very fantastic wrestler, and it's great to see him thriving in AEW. But here we have Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him, in his first, I think it was his first, maybe second gear ever seen in AEW. This is my favorite gear he has worn. I know he has some pretty cool recent ones with the white with the blood on it and all that, but this one's very cool. I just love the silver with the dragon on there. Very cool. It really shines well, and it makes this kick pad mold look so much better. We do get some pivot on there, which is nice to see. I was afraid we weren't going to get that. We got open back knee pads, very accurate, with that nice silver on the sides. Just very nice. I know we got a gear like this when he was in WWE, but this one is a lot cooler looking in my opinion. We got the classic Bryan Danielson trunks. There's the back with the flames. Classic Bryan Danielson. Obviously his favorite color is maroon because the majority of his gear is maroon. My one problem with this figure, and it might be for some other people, is the foot size. Just the way it is on the kick pad. Maybe it's just because there's padding on top of the shoe. Maybe it just looks small to me for some reason. Like if you compare it to Sammy Guevara, are they about the same size? Yeah, I mean it's just about the same size. It just looks a little odd on this figure. Maybe it's just the proportioning. The chest looks a little big, but Daniel Bryan is a pretty, I wouldn't say jacked. He's in shape, right? He's an in shape looking dude, and I think this looks accurate, especially next to Sammy Guevara, I would say, because Bryan Danielson's bigger. But we do get this screaming head sculpt, which is like I would like to say a mid-match head sculpt with his hair coming down. And it is screaming. Very cool that we're getting a screaming Bryan Danielson head sculpt. And then we get the start of the match, I would say, or promo head sculpt with his little man bun where his hair is all tied up. This is a more determined and focused Bryan Danielson. Very cool. From a view, it kind of looks like CM Punk, just from the slick back hair. Leave it in the comments down below. Which one do you prefer, the screaming or the straight face? I think I prefer the screaming. I think that picks up Bryan Danielson's likeness a lot better. But finally, we're getting a Bryan Danielson figure. It's been ages since we've gotten a Daniel Bryan figure. And I know all of you are probably going to beat me up in the comments for probably saying that this is Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson. It is what it is. Very cool. This is probably going to end up being my favorite figure in the set just because he is my all-time favorite wrestler. So going to try not to be biased, but very cool Bryan Danielson. Let's move on to the next figure. And here we have the women's figure in this set. We have Red Velvet, which oddly is a very impressive looking figure, even though I'm not that big of a fan of hers. I'm not even that big of a fan of the women's division in AEW in general, but she does have a very cool action figure, and I think this gear is very toyetic, and it's one of those gears that just looks good in action figure form and is worn for action figures. But just the red looks really good. It's like a shiny hot rod red, maybe like a cherry red. It's definitely glossy in person. I do like the gold accents, or the silver accents with the gold. I guess you could call them gold accents. Just very cool. There's the back. I think this torso might be Ty Conti's. Could be wrong. I'm not quite sure. There's the head sculpt looking really cool. I have seen a little bit of her wrestling, and I think she's a pretty good wrestler for AEW. She does have double jointed arms. How cool is that? But she is a pretty good wrestler. And I have seen her stuff. I think she was with Cody at one time. I think she replaced Brandy because Brandy got hurt or something and she wrestled with Cody. I can't quite remember. Leave it in the comments down below some fun facts about Red Velvet if you do know some. But very cool Red Velvet action figure. You just got to build up. I have to build up my women's AEW figure collection. Just very cool. This figure definitely feels better than a lot of Mattel's women's figures, so I'm just going to give that to Jazzwares right there. And then she does get some extra fists. But just very nice looking figure. I'm actually pretty impressed. So there we have Red Velvet. Next up, we have Shawn Spears, Ty Dillinger, whatever you want to call him. I keep wanting to say Ty Dillinger. But this is one of the figures I wasn't looking forward to until I pulled him out of package, and I was like, holy crap, this is a great figure. And I think this is the mold they should have given CM Punk, in my all honest opinion. But taking a closer look at the Shawn Spears head sculpt, I can see Shawn Spears in there. But I think it's a little bit more cartoony than it needs to be. But it does look like Shawn Spears. I do like this, what was it, the Pinnacle? Is that what their group name was? And I like the white, especially with the MJF we got. I think this was also with Wardlow. But I love the gold accents with the purple. Yeah, right there it says the Pinnacle. Just overall, very good looking Shawn Spears, especially with this white armband. Pretty good. And then over here we have his chair. It's like the Canadian representation with the skull. You can open up the chair, looking very nice. And then we get his gloved hand right there. Has some texture on it, so very interesting. I don't exactly remember him wearing this in general, but kind of cool that we're getting it. But interesting Shawn Spears. I don't have a lot to say about it, just because it's just some trunks and some knee pads and some white boots. And I think the white just makes the figure so much better, in my opinion. If it was just a basic black gear, it might not be as interesting. And this is one of the figures I'm not going to complain about, because this is his regular gear, where Sammy Guevara's, that's not his regular gear, but I guess you could kind of make it work if you really wanted to. Cool little matchup right there. I know these two, it's funny, these two are having a feud when they were wearing these gears, so pretty interesting. Or maybe this was the arena match, mayhem match, or whatever they call that match, but interesting. But overall, very cool Shawn Spears, and one of the figures I do recommend picking up in this set, especially if you do already have the Wardlow and MJF. Very cool to add to your collection. And the final figure in the set, the sixth figure, we have former AEW World Champion Kenny Omega. And what a long way that AEW Championship has fallen since Kenny Omega. I mean, we had Hangman Adam Page, and I don't believe his feud was, or his reign was booked correctly. It just felt like he wasn't the main event guy. It just felt like he had the title and they weren't really focusing on him or doing that much with him. It's kind of a bummer that he lost it to CM Punk, and then CM Punk got injured, and then Jon Moxley had the interim world title, but then CM Punk won it back, and then now it flip-flopped back to Jon Moxley, and it's just, oh my god. Just the prestige is just fallen so far since Kenny Omega. But I am super psyched to have this Kenny Omega. It's kind of refreshing to not get a ring attire Kenny Omega and instead get a promo attire. And I just think this is a masterpiece of a figure, and one that everybody's going to want to pick up, especially with the details on these whitewashed looking jeans with all the holes in them. Just definitely looks like what Kenny Omega wore that night. And this is also a very interesting head sculpt that you can get multiple of this figure and swap it onto another Kenny Omega. And originally, I didn't remember this figure being in the set when it came, and I was surprised, was just because I thought it was in the Ultimate Kenny Omega where we were going to be able to switch stuff out. But I guess I got it mixed up, and I know that the Ultimate Kenny Omega comes with, or maybe the Walmart exclusive comes with this. I can't quite remember, but yeah. Anyways, he comes with the AEW World Championship, something we have seen many, many times, but it's cool to get it back. Another one in our collection, because when you lose titles, it's good to have another one, so very cool. And then we have the Kenny Omega right here, and I'm very curious. I have not seen him without his shades, so let's pop these off. There's Kenny Omega. Oh my goodness. This dude looks like freaking Tim Allen from the Santa Claus. Very odd, but cool looking Omega head sculpt. I like the man bun with the hair coming down. Very nice. And then we do get rubber band. What is it? Why is there rubber band around it? It's probably because you can flare this out or something. But we have a V-neck. And then the sculpting, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of sculpted down a little bit. That's interesting. It's like rubbery. And then we get the very colorful looking jacket for Omega. I'm not digging the head sculpt all too much. I was anticipating it to look a little bit more like Kenny Omega than it does. And I do see Kenny Omega in there. But it just looks like a raging Tim Allen for some reason. The jeans are the coolest part of this figure with the white shoes. And then he does come with an AEW microphone. Overall, very nice looking Kenny Omega. And let's just do the rankings right now. Forgot to mention the glasses. Looking very nice. Let's do the ranking right now. I'm not going to rank Darby Allen just because he's like an LJN figure. And can't really compare it to these articulated, fantastic looking figures. But at the bottom of the list, I'm going to give it to Sammy Guevara. And I think the coolest part of this figure are these Jordans. Definitely the coolest part of the figure. I believe those are Jordans. Nothing wrong with the figure. I just think it's like something that's, you know, you can't really pose with like your, like if he's not in the inner circle, he can't wear that. You know what I mean? It just, I don't know. Anyways, very cool Sammy Guevara. Otherwise, just very nice. Next up, I'm going to give it to Red Velvet. Very cool figure. I'm just not too familiar with her. I have seen some of her matches and I've heard about her. But, you know, I did get this figure so I could build up my women's figure collection. And I will become more familiar. That's one of the cool things about collecting is you get a wrestler maybe you're not too familiar with. You get the figure's super cool and awesome. And then you're like, oh, maybe I should start watching that person more often. Next up, I'm going to give it to Shawn Spears. Interesting figure. I think it's going to grow on me, and I like the look of it. I just think I wish they did more with Shawn Spears rather than him being just the mic man, you know, because he's a phenomenal wrestler. I'd love to see more of him. And then I'm going to give it to Kenny Omega, which I thought was going to be number 1, but it's not after that weird Tim Allen looking head sculpt. Does look good, though. And then number 1, my favorite wrestler of all time, Bryan Danielson. And what a shame we didn't get this image right here at the end of Grand Slam. How great would that have been? Anyways, guys, make sure to pick up this set at Ringside Collectibles using discount code TANNER, TANNER, all caps, to save 10% at checkout. I give this set a solid 10 out of 10. I like the diversity. I love that Kenny Omega doesn't come in ring gear. He comes with promo gear. I like the diversity with Sammy Guevara, and I like that we got Bryan Danielson, Red Velvet, Shawn Spears. We got the cool LJN, Darby Allen. Just a very broad and awesome looking set. Next up, look out. This is a little sneak peek of what's to come. We have the Ultimate Edition, Brock Lesnar, coming soon. So make sure to turn on post notifications for this YouTube channel. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe to support the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. WWE Fan Talk Show, out.